evening and welcome to Club Corner. I'm your host, Braden Ingram, and I'm out at Noble Park this evening. It's the Division 1 Grand Final coming up at Bayswater Oval this Saturday, and it's set to be a sensational game. I'm joined here by Sam Monaghan. Sam, welcome.
Cheers, thanks for having me.
Thanks for being here, mate. And I tell you what, it's set to be a great game. And look, it was a tough game on the weekend against Vermont. You mentioned before you lost 5 times in a row against them. How did you turn it around last weekend?
Yeah, we lost 5 in a row, so we knew we had to tweak something. And Foggers did tweak the game plan a little bit, a few different selections. But saying that, we were super confident. Chatting to the boys on the Friday night, having dinner, and we were saying we were real confident. We probably didn't have a reason to be losing the previous 5 in a row, but we showed that the last 3 quarters why we should have been confident. And
Bo Cass and Matty Dunn had been struggling in form a little bit. They came out and played a really good game, didn't they?
Yeah, Dan Mann, who's normally our centre forward, full forward, missed through injury and gave opportunity to both Matty and Koss, and they've popped up and kicked 11 goals between them. And so I don't think anyone was expecting that. Koss played 2s a couple of weeks previous to that and has kicked 6 goals, so he was definitely worth the call-up.
You played the 11 games last year. You played 21 on the weekend against Balwyn. How much better are you feeling this year compared to last year?
Yeah, last year, I think the club itself is happy to forget about last year. We like lining up in the final, we were depleted. The confidence wasn't high at all. But this year we're pretty much full strength, maybe besides 1 or 2. So we've got no excuses.
How much is the side going to change from last week to this week? Who's likely to come back in?
Controversial Georgie he'll put his hand up. So we'll leave that up in the hands of the coaching staff. So I'm guessing that could be the only change. But Dan Mann's the other one who we mentioned before who's injured. He's trying to put his hand up as well. Everyone, even though they're not fit, everyone's saying they've never felt better. So it'll be interesting in selection. But I couldn't see it changing too much.
You played Balwyn twice this year, lost by 8 and 18 points. How close were you in those games? Obviously the margins were close, but they were very tight, fairly low-scoring games. Would you expect that again?
Yeah, we got heaps of respect for Balwyn. We know they're the powerhouse of the competition, and we expect them to go into favourites. But we're chock full of confidence. If we can continue on the way we finished last week, we'll get a very good show.
Anything from the last 2 games that you've identified that really you need to fix up on this week and make sure that you don't allow Balwyn to do?
Being a midfielder myself, Foggers and the midfield coach Nilo has been on our back about just working both ways. And with Vermont having the star-studded midfield they do, and same with Balwyn, you can't get away with just running around trying to pick up touches because you're going to get killed by the other blokes, by the stars of the midfield. So we've really got to focus on just negating their midfielders as much as us blokes getting the ball ourselves.
And Mick Fogarty's last game, announced a couple of weeks ago, he's going to be gone for the club. He's been a great servant of Noble Park. Does that almost give you a bit of a lift, especially if you go in at 3/4 time? He gives one of those rousing, inspirational speeches.
He's good at them. He just goes off. You can just go off the track and just talk about anything, and it'll fire you up. But I guess you're really struggling mentally if you need something outside force to get you up and about to win a grand final. But I'd really enjoy to sit back with a beer with Foggers with a premiership medal around the neck and just talk some trollop after a win. That'll be great. It'll be a good feeling.
And finally, mate, it's amazing to venture down here at the almost the start of in spring, and the weather's amazing. You got 2 teams on the track. Resi's in the grand final as well. The atmosphere must be electric down here.
Yeah, the boys were excited about the weekend festivities. The few of the guys are trying to organise what's going on behind the scenes. So
you're talking Saturday night. You're not worried about the game, are you, mate?
Nah, definitely. Obviously the main focus, but having the 2, I'm proud to be part of the footy club. To be honest, it just shows why everyone says we've got such good facilities and that, but that doesn't happen by mistake. Everyone behind the scenes has worked so hard, and that shows on the field. So having 2 teams in the grand finals Division 1 is a massive effort, and I'm proud to be part of it.
Well, Sammy, it's set to be a gripping contest. Bayswater Oval, 2:30 p.m. this Saturday. Get out for it. Good luck, mate.
Beautiful. Cheers. Thank you.
From Noble Park to inner city Melbourne, yes, I'm out here at Balwyn, and it is, of course, the second part. It is Division 1 Grand Final this week, and joining me from Balwyn Footy Club is Jeff Goebbels. Good afternoon to you, Jeff.
Hey, Braden, how you going, mate? Thanks for having me.
Very good, thanks. I should be saying good evening because we've got a lovely picturesque view behind us, and it's a great night to train, isn't it? The boys must be really up and about.
Yeah, mate, we're up and about. We're having the week off. We're all fresh, so mate, it's good to get out. Knowing it's the last week of the year, yeah, the boys are pumped.
You speak of that week off, and of course last year you guys had to play 4 finals in a row. This year you've only had to play the 2. How's that feeling?
Yeah, obviously it's a lot different preparation this year, but it's been good for us because we've had a lot of boys that have been sore. So yeah, the extra 2 weeks off have been really good for us, especially for the senior players.
So you don't see it as some might, as a bit of loss of momentum or anything like that? Or you just think it's good to have the rest altogether?
No, I don't think so. We've had a pretty good season, so we'll just continue that on. And the final we've played, we're pretty good in that. So yeah, I don't think that's a big factor. And we've had some really solid Saturday training sessions, so it's been really sharp.
So, mate, I know you went out at the game last week to see Noble, but I know certainly some of the boys would be. What do they take from that game? And have you had a chance to look at the tape, or is that something that Dan Donati's going to go through and just give you the notes on?
Yeah, Dan was out there, obviously, and he'll go through the tape again and look at areas we need to look at with Noble. I mean, they're so good from half back, so just got to look at things like shutting their run down and stuff like that. So.
And what about your form, mate? A couple of weeks ago, I think you were on a trot of 1 goal 5 weeks in a row, and maybe a little bit struggling. In the last 2 weeks, you kicked bags of 5 and 3, so you're back and about. It must have been a bit of a tough time there.
Yeah, that time of the year, sort of July, it's always hard to get a kick. So especially up forward, it's always a bit muddy and a bit wet. But yeah, the boys got it done, so I didn't really need to do back. I could just do much. I could just sort of sit back and let the boys take over. It was good.
Is that a case of also the body's a bit sore and it is a bit hard in that later months of the year, and now you've got that resurged energy, you're in the finals, you're in the grand final now, and you're good to go?
Yeah, I actually do feel better, the best I've felt for probably 2 months. I sort of had a couple of hip issues and glute issues this year, but yeah, it's the best I've felt. But everyone's pretty sore that time of year. It's not really an excuse, but yeah.
The first game against Noble Park on the Queen's birthday weekend was a really tight game. I think it was only 10 goals each other side. And the second game, neither side got above 100 points either. Would you expect that sort of tight tussle, or given it's a grand final, it might open up towards the second half?
I think it will open up a bit, especially on Bayswater. It's such a big oval, so it's sort of hard to close teams down like it is out here at Balwyn and at Noble's home ground. So I think it should be quite free flowing, but finals are always a lot of pressure, so it's hard to say really.
As a forward, obviously you want to see a shootout, but what suits the side better, do you think?
Yeah, I think for us it's probably our free flowing probably suits us more. So, the more open it is, it probably suits us best, I think.
And I mean, their side, anyone in particular, maybe off half back that you guys need to contain, or I mean, do you think the way you've played against them, you've been able to contain their better players pretty well?
They've got so many quality players, but yeah, you got to look at guys like Kemperman and Shane Allen, and there's guys like Mann and that can sort of get hold of games. So I've just got to keep a little bit of an eye on them, but you also don't want to go too defensive at the same time, and you still want to play your own brand of footy. So obviously there'll be guys we look at, but I think it's just more important if we play our brand of footy, and it shouldn't matter too much, hopefully.
And who do you think will go to you?
I think, Plymouth's gone to me pretty much every time we've played Noble, so I'm assuming he'd go to me again. He's done a pretty good job of me in recent games, so I'd imagine he'd go to me, yeah.
And lastly, mate, what is the difference 12 months from 12 months ago? I mean, is there any differences? Can you feel there's a bit more of a pump up to try and go back to back, or there was more pressure on you last year, now it feels a little bit more relieved? How is it?
There's probably less pressure last year, I think, because no one probably really expected us to come from fourth and win it. So obviously this year we only had the one loss, so there's probably a bit of expectation on us, but I mean we sort of embrace that, and hopefully we can get the chocolates on Saturday.
Well, Jeff, hopefully you do, mate. We look forward to covering it here on EFL and on 98.1, and good luck.
No worries, thanks, Braden.